Hi, welcome back to Roundtable Talks. I'm David, and today we're here with Cynthia Hu. Cynthia, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me here.
Cynthia, in your opinion, what is the most important personality trait that someone would need to work in our industry?
I would say that having grit is important. You're going to encounter a ton of setbacks in our industry, and starting off already, I think we're one of the least liked in professions.
I agree fully.
I think car salespeople have taken the first, number one, and we follow a close second. So people don't really like us.
And it's unfortunate when you say that. It's two big purchases in your life, and there's that, I guess, view of our industry.
Right. So I would say, having grit and just learning to overcome those challenges and being able to persevere past all that.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen over the years is that the ones that have a kind of a thicker skin, that are able to handle rejection and just push forward, are the ones that have the greater success.
Absolutely. You're going to hear a lot more no's than you are yes. And I can't tell you how many times I've had the door slam in my face, or like people just hanging up on me or sending me nasty emails saying like, stop emailing me. But over time, you'll learn to develop thick skin, and you kind of just learn to shrug it off and move forward.
Now, when that happens, as far as like email, or would you typically go back to them at a later point in time in the year, or do you kind of push them aside?
It depends on the situation. Usually, like back then when I used to door knock, I would still visit the same houses again where they may have rejected me once, twice, 3 times, because when you're farming an area, you tend to visit the same homes a couple of times, throughout the year or so. So they eventually will recognize you, and then eventually I feel like they'll start to break down and open up to you.
For sure.
But initially, from the get-go, they'll be like, no.
I think you don't know how someone's, how their day is going at that moment in time, and they could just be having a bad day.
For sure.
And you just don't take it personally, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
How long have you been doing real estate now?
I'm going into my 14th year, and half of that was part-time. I was working in the corporate world for the first half, and then eventually I reached a crossroads where I had to decide, and I decided to make the move into full-time.
And I think you made a good choice.
Yeah, and you know what? It's been great. Like, I haven't looked back.
Now, 14 years in the business, what's one piece of advice you would give to an agent that is relatively new coming into the business?
I think there are a few. I think I'll touch on 3 that come to mind. So one would be to invest in yourself. I can't think of anything that's more empowering than investing in yourself and your business. And the industry is constantly evolving and changing, and it's so important for you to stay on top of things and to educate yourself.
Yeah.
Not just about like taking courses, but just surrounding yourself with like-minded people that you can learn from and grow from. And also, attending mastermind sessions and just collaborating, but basically just fostering that growth mindset and also that collaborative mindset.
I think with any industry or any aspect of a career that you're in, the more knowledge that you have.
Knowledge is power,
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The second piece of advice that I would give would be, if you're going into this full-time, you need to treat this as a full-time job.
Yes.
I think a lot of people go into self-employment thinking, great, I can wake up whenever I want, I've got all this flexibility, I don't have to report to anybody, which is all true, but at the same time, I think this is a profession where it's one of those things where you get out what you put in.
Right.
So you put in part-time hours, you get part-time results.
Yep.
Full-time hours, full-time results. And the other thing to note is I think we're in a day and age right now where we expect instant success or instant gratification, and hate to burst your bubble, but success doesn't happen overnight. It's one of those things that you have to nurture and grow, and it takes time.
No, I find that the time that you put in, what you put in is what you get out, and it's as important when you are at the office or at home that you're putting in the time to actually work, as opposed to fiddling around and doing little things. So saying that, what have you done over the years? What's your favorite productivity hack that you can
So one thing that I've started doing in the most recent years would be time blocking. So before, I used to have like my to-do list, and basically whatever went in my calendar were things that like appointments and things that like appointments with clients, showings, and so forth. But I'd have my to-do list as like a separate, day-to-day list for the week, for the day. And I'd often find myself, trying to tackle it. But by the end of the day, I'd look at my list and I think, well, I've barely, touched it. Like there's still a ton of things to do. And then the things that I didn't accomplish that day end up rolling over to the next day. And then that list continues to grow. So then I started time blocking and basically carving out times during the day of when I would check emails, when I would, go on listing appointments or showing appointments. And obviously there's got to be some flexibility because sometimes your clients might not be able to see stuff during that time, but I'm a visual person, so it helped me kind of visualize how my day was going to go. And I found myself infinitely more productive and much more accomplished by doing that as opposed to just trying to tackle the to-do list.
Now, did you find with that, did you prioritize revenue generating tasks, or was it just at the beginning put everything in and then see where your time is being spent?
So initially what I did was I did a task audit. So I tracked what I did for an entire week or 1 or 2 weeks and basically opened up a spreadsheet starting from the minute that I woke up, input it into the spreadsheet, all the way to like feeding, making breakfast, taking my kids to school, prospecting, making calls and so forth. And then I kind of just I chunked those off into key categories of when I could fit them into the calendar or to the schedule, and basically use that time to work on those activities.
So now, out of curiosity, Cynthia, like what did you find? Did you find that you were getting the most out of your time in business, in the real estate side of things, or was it more geared towards personal?
It was a mix of both because, there were things that I needed to carve off for personal time.
Right.
Like even something simple like time for, a mindset, like, basically like personal prep time and just like meditation or whatever, right? Having those things in the calendar kind of just allowed me to use that time wisely.
Right.
Otherwise, by the end of the day, I always felt like I just was not accomplishing anything.
Yeah.
Like I was working in the business as opposed to working on the business.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's actually important. All the viewers that are watching today, I think you should take the time and do that task audit. It sounds that what could be something that's quite simple can really change how you approach your business on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and I think also by doing that, there are things that you're going to identify that you might not enjoy doing, like cleaning, for example.
Yeah.
So that might be an opportunity for you to say, okay, I need to hire a cleaner because rather than me spending time cleaning the house,
right,
I could use that time working on the business.
For sure.
Right?
Market is, in your opinion, going to maintain, or?
I feel like it's going to maintain. It's going to be very telling what the next couple of months will be like, especially with rate hikes and supply inventory levels.
Yeah.
I think it'll depend on what happens with interest rates and whether or not if we get enough supply. But I think what we've seen in the past is it doesn't seem like the interest rates have really had much of an impact on the industry. I mean, initially, yes, but I think people have learned to accept that it is what it is.
It's a new norm.
It is the new norm, and people still have to move.
They have to move.
They need a place to live.
Absolutely, and I think you've already said the supply issue is a big factor, and that has never gone away in the last few years, and probably going into the future as well. So I think the market will be robust, and I think the agents that are in the business, it's not easy, like you said. It's not going to be an easy trek, but if you're well organized and you have systems in place, it's a very lucrative industry to be in.
Definitely.
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
And satisfying industry.
Yes.
Personal side of things, any vacations planned?
We're heading to Florida soon.
Oh, nice.
We're going to surprise the kids with a trip to Disney.
Very good.
Just one day, because our intentions were to just go to Orlando and just stay at the resort. But my oldest is at an age right now where if we wait any longer, the magic might be gone.
That's right.
So we want to kind of capitalize on that, the short time that we have.
Very good.
So that we can, create a little magic in her life.
Yeah.
So Florida in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. Well, Cynthia, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, David.
Until next time, everybody, remember to hit like and subscribe to this channel. Thank you.